when AIDS hits home.
AIDS is that disease that's...
It hits at the heart.
No! No! He's our son, for God's sake.
What does a family do? A world movie premiere you can't miss. Ben Gazzara, Jenna Rollins, and Early Frost next Monday.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Just ahead on the 10 o'clock edition of Channel 5 News, the search is over. There is a new man soon to take the helm of the Fort Worth Police Department.
In an effort to get voters to the polls for tomorrow's huge bond election in Dallas, telephones tonight were ringing off the hook.
And across the state, people are gearing up for Texas's 150th birthday, hoping the sesquicentennial, like the Alamo, will be something to remember. I'm Brad Wright.
And I'm Alice Carone. Channel 5 News Tonight is next.
This election day, Highland Superstores are having a sale so remarkable it may be taking some people away from where they should be. And no wonder. This RCA VHS video recorder with express programming is just $218. And this Tappan microwave oven with automatic timer is only $98. Every appliance is 5 to 40% off. It's the sale you'll want to remember. But don't forget to vote. Highland's Election Day sale, November 5th. Everything you never expected from an appliance store.
Hello, Kraft Company? About your macaroni and cheese. Tell 'em, Annie. We think it should be called Kraft Cheese and Macaroni, because it tastes the cheesiest. What'd they say? They'd have to change a million boxes.
Kraft Macaroni and Cheese has more cheese than any other brand. That's why it tastes the best.
There's one. A million boxes? I think we're gonna need more crayons.
Kraft Cheese and Macaroni, the cheesiest.
Campfire candy tastes great, but that's not the only good reason to buy it. When you buy candy from Campfire boys and girls, you help kids like us. You help Jennifer spend a week at summer camp. You help Robbie learn to use the phone in case of an emergency. You help Mark and Lisa find out about careers. And you help keep our clubs going so all of us can have fun and make friends. When we ask you to buy Campfire candy, say yes. It's a delicious way to help.
Channel 5, KXAS TV. This is Channel 5 News Tonight with the team to watch for news. Alice Carone, Brad Wright, Scott Murray, sports, and meteorologist Harold Taft with the most accurate weather forecast in North Texas. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Fort Worth has a new police chief tonight.
City Manager Doug Harmon has chosen 47-year-old Thomas Wyndham of Los Angeles to head the 800-member Fort Worth Police Department. Channel 5's Linda Frederick reports tonight on the man picked to lead and manage the men and women who patrol and protect the residents of Fort Worth.
Thomas Wyndham has spent the past 21 years in law enforcement in Los Angeles. He recently expressed an interest in coming home to Texas and along with 79 other people applied for the job of Fort Worth Police Chief. Wyndham was one of 9 finalists for the job who underwent a barrage of testing 2 weeks ago. He was then named one of 2 finalists. Wyndham learned today that he had won out over the other finalists, Springfield, Missouri Police Chief Troy Majors. The 47-year-old Wyndham has served as homicide detective, SWAT team leader, and patrol commander in Los Angeles, and he's currently serving as chief of staff to LA's police chief. Wyndham will take over the police chief reins from Herbert Hopkins, who retired last week after serving as police chief for 6 years. On his last day at work, Hopkins offered these words of advice to the new man.
To be his own man, and if he isn't, that'll come true.
Although Fort Worth's new police chief did not work his way up from within the local ranks, Wyndham is from Texas. He grew up in Hamilton and worked as a firefighter in Waco before going into police work. In a letter to city council members, city manager Doug Harmon said Wyndham stood out as a leader among the police chief candidates and exhibited the leadership abilities and management traits Fort Worth's police force needs. Wyndham is scheduled to be formally introduced to the Fort Worth City Council following their work session tomorrow afternoon. He's expected to take official command of Fort Worth's 800-member police force within the next 30 days. Linda Frederick, Channel 5 News Tonight in Fort Worth. The Republican battle cry has sounded tonight, and the war chest is overflowing after Vice President George Bush crisscrossed the Metroplex today. Tonight, Bush attended a $175 a plate fundraiser for Congressman Steve Bartlett. Bush told the sold-out ballroom that the goal next year is for the Republicans to capture control of the governorship. Bush also hammered away at the method of cutting the federal deficit. He said those serious about biting the budget deficit bullet should support a proposal by Texas Senator Bill Graham.
The Graham, Rudman, Hollings proposal would set up target deficits for 6 years, declining deficits in each of the 6. In the 6th year, the deficit would be 0, and the target, a balanced budget.
Bush is at this hour heading back to Houston, where he'll vote in that city's election tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is, of course, Election Day all across Texas. Statewide, voters will be asked to decide the fate of 14 constitutional amendments. While in Dallas, voters will be asked to decide the single largest bond election in city history, $428 million for 11 propositions. Tonight, Channel 5's Bob Letter takes a look at where the money will go and explains the pros and cons of each proposal.
Even though opposition has been virtually zilch, bond supporters have waged a $600,000 campaign to get out the vote. A low voter turnout could spell defeat. At $428 million for 11 propositions, it breaks down like this. Streets, $244 million for needed road improvements. Opponents argue much of the money is for routine maintenance that should be covered in the yearly operating budget, not borrowed. Leisure, $92 million for 6 propositions. $9 million for Fair Park, this to build a new museum for African American life and culture and improve existing museums. There is a growing feeling, however, that money spent at Fair Park is like playing the Midway. It's fun, but there's never much to show for it. $28 million for 5 acres of land to complete the Arts District. Supporters argue it's a bargain. Opponents say if the land was left for private developers, it would generate millions in tax revenues. Zoo improvements. Few argue against them. The problem is the zoo has spent virtually none of its $18 million approved in the last bond election. A new library for Kleberg. Parks and Recreation. The controversy is it includes $7.5 million for the Arboretum. Many feel this should be a separate item to stand or fall on its own merits. The final leisure proposition is Trinity Park Development, new ball fields along the river. Environmentalists claim this land should be left as a nature area. Under emergency items, $33 million, $13 for new fire stations, $20 million for police and multiple services. And finally, infrastructure. These are the city basics, a new solid waste disposal facility and flood control. Again, environmentalists oppose doing anything to the Trinity River. Bond opponents argue now is not a good time to borrow money, but supporters say now may be the best time. The city has a AAA bond rating and interest rates are low. Bob Letter, Channel 5 News, tonight.
In addition to the 11 bond proposals, Dallas voters will also be deciding a special proposal to allow the city to install a 911 emergency telephone system. If that's approved, telephone subscribers will pay an additional 25 cents a month on their phone bills. The polls, by the way, open tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Alice?
In Tarrant County, the commissioners have set January 25th as the date for the biggest bond election in the county's history. Voters will be asked to approve $64 million for a new courts building, another new jail, and renovation of existing facilities.
Still ahead on Channel 5 News tonight, Secretary of State George Shultz prepares for an important meeting tomorrow that could lay the groundwork for future world peace.
Tonight it looks like Humphrey is nearly home free.
And the sun will soon rise on the biggest birthday bash in the state's history. Don't go away.
While other copier companies are busy juggling all kinds of other products, there's one company busy making great copiers, Vita. All we make are great copiers.
Today it's a little hard to swallow, but by the 21st century there won't be enough of it to go around. That's why right now we've got to do something to protect it, conserve it, not just for ourselves, but for our children. Clean water, to drink, to grow food, to live. Vote yes for the statewide water program, Propositions 1 and 2. This plan requires no new taxes or diverting of water from one region to another. It simply requires you to say yes.
You could win a spectacular Christmas shopping spree at Marshall Field by playing Channel 5's Win Stakes. Win Stakes numbers are drawn 4 times each weekday from 3 to 5 o'clock. And remember, bonus numbers drawn each day are worth $1,000 cash. But you have to watch Channel 5 between 3 and 5 in order to win. Additional Win Stakes numbers are available at Marshall Fields in the Dallas Galleria and at Six Flags over Texas. There's no purchase necessary. Win Stakes, thousands of dollars worth of glamorous prizes, and only on Channel 5.
Secretary of State George Shultz meets with Soviet leader Gorbachev tomorrow to discuss the upcoming summit meeting between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Schultz arrived in Moscow early today and spent 8 hours in a conference with the Soviet foreign minister. The two were working on the summit agenda when they emerged from the meeting. Schultz said they still had many more items to work out. The two countries have something else to work out tonight. A high-ranking KGB officer turned up at the Soviet embassy in Washington today, claiming that U.S. intelligence agents kidnapped, drugged, and forced him to come to this country. The State Department says that Vitaly Yurchenko defected to the U.S. in August and that his story is a lie. They also say tonight that the U.S. government will not allow Yurchenko to leave the U.S. until they are certain that he wants to return to the Soviet Union. Brad?
Alice, here at home, the rape of a female parishioner at a Catholic church in Irving has not stopped church members from attending continuous prayer services. A 32-year-old woman was robbed and raped a few weeks ago while she was praying alone inside the church late at night. Church members were shocked, but insist they'll continue to keep the church open 24 hours a day. They are asking male parishioners to stand guard, though, during late-night hours. The Catholic Diocese of Dallas says the assault may prompt other congregations to review the security at their churches. 2 suspects in the rape are in custody tonight.
Testimony is expected to begin tomorrow in the aggravated assault trial of Betty Minyard Stein. The 65-year-old Highland Park woman will act as her own attorney. Mrs. Stein is charged with shooting a Highland Park high school student in July. She claims a teenager was harassing her. Mrs. Stein admits firing the gun, but insists she was aiming at the tire of the car driven by Huey Ward III. The bullet hit Ward in the shoulder.
Last year, almost 9,000 new cases were added to Tarrant County's court system. Last month, a new court called the Impacts Court was added to help reduce the growing workload. In its first week of operation, the court disposed of 80 cases.
The only thing we don't do is jury trials. We will handle anything else, a trial to the court, probation revocations, pleas of guilty, forfeiture cases, everything.
Due to its early success, the county commissioners have agreed to fund its operation at least through the end of the year.
Well, we've been enjoying plenty of fall sunshine over the past few days, but can it last?
Harold joins us now with not only news of fall sunshine, but almost spring-like temperatures to come. Harold?
Well, it feels a little bit like fall in the morning, but certainly summer in the afternoon.
To get you to choose them as your long-distance phone company, certain people say they're better than MCI. Not true. There's nothing better than MCI Dial 1 service. They say they're cheaper than MCI. Please. MCI costs less no matter when you call. They'll even hint that MCI's trying to look like them. No way. However, to show you what a sporting company MCI is, we won't even mention that expensive phone company by name. But I'll give you a hint. Their initials are AT&T.
When you're asked to choose a long-distance phone company, choose MCI Dial 1 long-distance service and start saving.
Take up and play the Burger King $14 million winning taste game, where you can win $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, or any of 19 million fabulous food and cash prizes. Win a flame-broiled Whopper, a flaky croissant sandwich, a Pepsi. The odds of winning a prize are a fantastic 1 in 7. Play the winning taste.
Any good. Use a newspaper, not enough wind to hurt anything, and then later on as it gets colder, use an old quilt or some cloth of some sort. All right, on the national map, big storm up in the northeast gave 7 inches of rain at Cape Hatteras, a lot of heavy weather activity, and it's still raining, and raining very hard from Virginia all the way on up into western Pennsylvania and New York State. Here's the next front coming on down, and it's giving a little area of rain. It will move more across the east, become parallel to the flow, and drift on down to south. It'll come down into our area about Thursday. I don't see it as a major front at this time. Maybe we'll change our mind later on, but it just doesn't seem to have the characteristics of it for the time being. But anyway, we're going to have a couple of days of good weather to worry about that. Let's see, there's 35 up at International Falls, 52 at Detroit, and 50 degrees at Boston, and down at Winston-Salem at 65 in Miami, which is cool for them. 54 is cool for New Orleans. 53 is not bad for us here in the Metroplex, and it's 63 degrees in Los Angeles. If we can take a look at the satellite picture, we'll look at the black and white picture tonight because I can show you a little more detail on it. Look at the lakes in Texas. See, they're still warm and the air is cooled off. So you can see every lake And then as you get back into the mountains, you can see the cold air in the mountain regions and the warmer air, which is the darker color that we see on the satellite. But skies are clear, except for patchy high clouds up to the north. In the morning, I think 43 degrees will be the benchmark temperature. It'll be up and down from that. It could vary as much as 5 to 8 degrees across the area. But the skies will be clear here in North Texas, and the winds will be light, probably just very light, indicating west. But as the day goes on, well, it'll warm up. I think 75 degrees. This front will push down into Nebraska, and there'll be some snow back in the mountains there in Colorado. Some rain in the Pacific Northwest and in the Northeast if you're going to any of the major cities from Richmond north and from, let's see, from Akron, Ohio east. I'd suggest you take a raincoat. Outside, sky right now clear. Visibility good. Wind south at 6-8 miles an hour. The barometer 30 and 2700ths, 56 degrees, 61%. We've had no precipitation. There's nothing on the radar. Temperatures in the low to middle 40s in the morning. It'll seem a little cool. The wind will be picking up out of the south. It'll warm up rather rapidly, get up to 75 before the day is passed. Cool down again Wednesday night, 50 Wednesday morning, 80 Wednesday afternoon. Then we may have a little front in the area on Thursday, but still pretty good weather.
Well, I tell you, I've got half a mind to pull my golf clubs out of mothballs, but then I don't need the aggravation, so. Okay. Thanks, Harold.
Thank you, Harold. Humphrey the whale is swimming out to sea tonight. He's that lost whale who's been cruising the Sacramento River for the past 3.5 weeks. Rescuers lured Humphrey toward the Pacific with recorded sounds of feeding humpback whales. As Humphrey made his way into San Francisco Bay today, he was followed by a flotilla of boats with people cheering him on and waving goodbye. As he swam toward his natural home, the whale shook off 2 transmitters that had been shot into his skin. They had been used to track Humphrey as he traveled 70 miles inland and back out again. Glad he's on his way home. Next in sports, we'll find out if the Cowboys played their cards right.
And a card of a different suit is named King of the Diamond. Stay with us.
People get so upset about little things.
It's legal, illegal. He wants to sue the guy who bought the copier.
I'm not here.
It's personnel. Copier just quit.
Take a message.
If you need a dependable copier that enlarges, reduces, and even makes color copies at a touch, your copier should be a Toshiba.
Hello.
Garber, what's going on with the copier?
I'm not here now. Please leave a message at the sound of the beep. Beep.
Next time, make it a Toshiba copier.
Advertisers should know that most everybody uses the Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages. That's something you should remember if you're confused about which Yellow Pages to advertise in. You see, the fact that we're used by most everybody is amazing, because absolutely everybody is almost impossible, considering there's one in every crowd. Look for the Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages. It's the one and only.
If you have diabetes and use insulin, call toll-free 1-800-445-8000. Please write it down. And save up to $6 on 200 BD insulin syringes with the BD Microfine 3 needle, the thinnest, finest, sharpest insulin syringe needle ever made for unequaled injection comfort. Call now, 1-800-445-8000, and save up to $6 on BD insulin syringes.
Scott Murray in St. Louis tonight for the Cardinals-Cowboys game. Right now, they're in the third quarter. Good news for the Cowboys, but a comeback is being surmounted by the Cardinals.
Has it been a pretty good game so far?
It's been a pretty good game, kind of low scoring, and one play in particular that could be a thorn in the Cowboys' side if they lose it. We'll get to that in a second. We'll tell you about it. The first-place Dallas Cowboys are in the midst of trying to keep that hold on the top spot in the NFC East. Tom Landry's boys are playing the Cardinals at this very moment in St. Louis. The score, 10-7. The Cowboys have the lead with about 6.5 minutes to go in that third period. The scoring, second quarter, Tony Hill on an 8-yard touchdown pass from Danny White to make it 7-0. Septien had a 19-yard field goal at the end of the first half. It was 10-0. Cardinals only had 10 yards rushing in that first half. Good defensive game in the first half for the Cowboys. Pat Tilley, though, a 46-yard touchdown reception for the Cardinals about 2 minutes ago, but he spiked the ball, the highlights showed in the replays, about a yard short of the end zone. He actually didn't make it in. The referee still gave it to him. If the Cowboys go on and lose this game, it obviously will be a thorn in their side and a sore point for the Cowboys if they lose. They're leading 10-7, though. We'll give you an update as it comes about before 10:30. Well, to no one's surprise, the Iowa Hawkeyes were dethroned as the nation's top college football team this week, and the dethronees, Penn State, is the dethroner. Right now, they're 8-0, if you follow all that. Nebraska's number 2. Ohio State, after beating Iowa last week, moves up to number 3. Then Air Force, Oklahoma, Iowa drops down to number 6. Miami of Florida, Baylor, top team in the Southwest Conference, will play at Arkansas on Saturday. They're number 8. Then Michigan, Arkansas is 10th. And Texas A&M sneaks into the top 20 at number 19 after their big victory over SMU on Saturday. Today's announcement may have been little consolation for St. Louis Cardinal manager Whitey Herzog after losing the World Series. The veteran skipper narrowly outpointed Cincinnati's Pete Rose to be named the National League Manager of the Year for 1985. Herzog received 11 first-place votes to total 86 total, and Charlie Hustle garnered 10 first-place votes. He finished just one back with 85 points. Tommy Lasorda of Los Angeles finished in 3rd. The Mets' Davey Johnson was in 4th, and 5th place went to Montreal's Buck Rogers. Well, many athletes are criticized for either not knowing or not caring about anything other than sports. That may be true in some cases, but as Mike Fernandez reports in the second part of his story on distance runner Sidney Marie, the South African native has deep feelings about his homeland.
Things can still be improved. It is not too late, but it is getting very late.
Sidney Marie has lived to talk about the violence in South Africa. A native of that country and one of its most visible athletes, he calls for patience.
What I personally believe in is to call for the youth to go back to school, because I truly understand what your limitations are. Without an educational background, it is very difficult. The less educated a person is, the much more easier it is to corrupt them, as far as pushing them into a corner and letting them take arms.
Sidney Marie has won some big races and run very fast from the front. So
Marie has literally run away from South Africa's problems. Through track, he has become a college graduate, an American citizen, and a man who earns close to $100,000 a year. But in his heart, he remains a South African, and a committed one.
In order to prevent communities like the Soviet Union from really taking a stronghold in Southern Africa, the United States has to become a little more actively involved, because as the people are suffering constantly, whatever form of relief they are promised, they will go for, regardless of where that relief might take them tomorrow.
Mike Fernandez, Channel 5 Sports.
Because most everyone in the country is at home watching the Cowboys game, the National Hockey League had just a single game this evening. Took place in Pittsburgh. Second period, Rangers, a 3-1 lead on Mark Osborne's slap shot from the top of the circle right there, beats the goalie. The Rangers beat the Penguins 4-2, the final score. And bad news for Chicago Bulls fans, last year's Rookie of the Year, Michael Jordan, will be out of the lineup for up to 6 weeks because of a broken bone that he sustained on that play against Golden State last Tuesday. Chicago now 3-2. Both of those losses have come after Jordan sustained that injury and had to sit out. And bad news, Brad and Alice, Earl Farrell scored on a touchdown run for the Cardinals about 30 seconds ago. It's now 14-10. Cardinals with the lead right there. 14-10. Cardinals with the lead still in the third quarter over the Cowboys. So that touchdown that Tilly scored that shouldn't have counted may be a real thorn in their side.
The Cowboys have time, yeah.
They'll come back. Optimist. Yeah,
okay.
They'll do it.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, Jim. Coming up in just a moment, everybody everywhere is gearing up for a Texas-sized birthday.
And they're cranking out the mementos in Texas-sized numbers. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
To select a fancy cheese for entertaining, you can try your luck.
Trust me. Oh, madam, where's your sense of adventure?
Or try new Creamery. Triple creme cream cheese with herbs and seasonings. And a name you can count on from Philadelphia brand. New Creamery.
How'd you find this?
I know who to trust.
Specially seasoned Creamery. Exceptional taste without a doubt.
Still to come, Channel 5's Jack Helsel takes a look at some of the people who are planning the biggest and the best birthday bash, the Lone Star Celebration.
Forget that artsy guy with the beard. Let Rex direct your script.
Forget it.
Look, come on, let
We shape today's Mercury Cougar to help it hold the road, no matter which road you choose. In Fort Worth, see Bailey